It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilley.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I know the anxiety that comes with watching a loved one struggle with a nonlinear path. This podcast was created to fight back against the narrow picture of success painted by social media. Each week, we share authentic stories from people who changed course, failed, and ultimately found their own direction or definition of success. These are the stories you need to hear to prove that changing your mind is common and you don't have to have it all figured out at 18. If you're a parent or you're a young adult looking for a little proof, you're home. Now, let's get into today's episode. If you'd like to explore how I can help your young adult, you can schedule a free consultation through my website link in the show notes. Today, my guest is Jerrod Zertuche. Jerrod supports parents in breaking their family's cycle of generational trauma and instilling unconditional love, discipline, and research-based skills to raise an amazing human. Parent from Love is all about becoming aware of your natural intuition and making loving decisions in the heat of the moment, which can be completed within 8 sessions. Jerrod is a fun human. In fact, I would say that he is just like bursting at the seams in this interview, and you'll be able to experience that. You can really tell that he is in this work for the love of it all. So let's not wait any longer. Here's Jerrod. All right, Jerrod, we're here. I'm so excited. Thanks for being here.
Me too.
Let's jump in. I am excited. Folks don't know this, but we only recently connected because of his career path, which I'm not going to divulge just yet. We'll get to it. Right. But it was a fun connection, and it led to us having a further conversation about, hey, maybe you should be a guest on the podcast. So I appreciate you taking the time to show up. Tell a little bit of your story. I'm going to ask a couple questions, and then this is going to be over before we even know it.
Sweet. Yeah, my story. You got it. So let's see here. I've been in living rooms and playrooms and backyards and even Disneyland and Legoland, helping families with kiddos who have developmental delays. So autism, ADHD, and doing that work for over 13 years, I've realized when parents hit their goals and when they are invested and they trust, professionals, and they're able to kind of do the work necessary, right? To have like a nervous system that is able to be resilient, is able to be intuitive, to be innovative, to be loving. That's why my business's name is Parent from Love. I found that when I do recommend to parents, hey, this is one way that you can help your child learn the skill. This is one way that you can help your child decrease this behavior. And as a BCBA, a board certified behavior analyst, that's really what my job is to increase skills that are a little bit difficult for that population, which would decrease, maladaptive, inappropriate, whatever you want to call it, behaviors. And, there's a whole new wave of ABA that sees that a little differently that I'm in as well. So, but, when it comes to going back to the nervous system and providing intuitive, loving responses, I noticed there was a gap between what the parent can do in the moment and what the recommendations are, right? Or what they wanted to respond to. And so I got into parent coaching because I saw that, okay, the parent has the ripple effect, the biggest ripple effect, because then the kiddos are going to learn, the community, right? The neighborhood, there's a bigger ripple effect once the parents kind of understand there's just a little bit of education involved here. And then there's also some, I call it a neurobehavioral reset. And to me, that's really the bread and butter of where transformation occurs. So that's a little bit of what I do. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, let me pause for a second. Two things. One, we'll make sure for anybody that's listening, we're going to have links in the show notes for anybody to actually check out your website, to also know how to reach out to you, because as you're talking and describing, like, not just what you do and who you work with, it also humanizes you, which is what I love about this podcast. So if you're listening and you're like, wow, this guy, I really want to connect with him, I think he might be like a great resource for me, then my call to action for anybody listening is, you have his contact, it's in the show notes, reach out. So Jerrod, let's back up, because you talked about how you've been doing this for 13 years. And I feel like we could probably even have a side, like, soapbox conversation about ABA and the things that are trending in different camps based on how people feel. Whole other conversation. We'll save it for another time. But let's actually I'm always curious about this. Where did you grow up? And what was your own personal, what was your own personal journey like after high school? Because I'm curious about let's bridge the gap of how did you even get into this space?
Love it. Thank you for asking. I'm originally from Clovis, California. So it's a small town by Fresno, California. And I got into psychology really, I guess, around preteen. I was listening to Loveline, which was Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla, if you don't know. They were on at 10 p.m. and I wasn't really supposed to listen to it, but I would listen to it going to bed. And I heard people having aha moments. I heard people calling back to thank you because they had nowhere else to turn to. And it really got me thinking, wow, you can change someone's life just through a conversation, just over the phone. That's amazing. And, it's really, play with your heartstrings, so to speak, right? So then I got into AP Psych, and then got into psychology, went to UC San Diego, and wanted to do, psychotherapy and clinical psychology. And apparently that wasn't the place to go. I just wanted to go to San Diego. I wanted to go to San Diego. And then I found out the first year, this is a research only. And I'm like, I'm not a research kind of guy. I want to apply it. And so I stuck there though. And it's funny. I look back and I'm like, dude, that wasn't the place for you. And I was doing things for other people at the time. I was very much, I like to say I was very much a people pleaser, and I'm not so much now, but that really took a toll, and I got anxious, and I would say depressed. I wasn't diagnosed, but when you're in psychology and you're reading books that say you don't like things that you used to like anymore, and you just want to stay in bed all the symptoms were there. And I was like, okay, I need some help. So, that was another thing I didn't really like doing, is asking for help. And especially when it comes to mental health, which it's you're a psychology major. That's what you want other people to do. So what's the deal here? And I did some group therapy in college, which helped. And then once I graduated, I didn't have a job. And that's pretty much, I think, why I was depressed, is because I wasn't living up to my expectations. And so I moved back home, which was the best thing for me. At the time, I was like, man, I'm a failure. I'm going back home. Geez, this is not how I saw my life. And it was the best thing. Growing up, I had a really awesome childhood, unconditional love, big time. We had, trips every summer, awesome friends. I really enjoyed where I grew up. And so it was just a matter of time before I kind of got back on the saddle again, you could say. It did take some time. I would say about 2 years. And I did do psychotherapy there, actually hypnotherapy too, which was interesting and effective. And then I got a job. I mean, a recruiter job, healthcare recruiter, just something so I could get a paycheck, really. And it was neat. We had a good time in the office and stuff, but I wasn't fulfilled. It wasn't something that spoke to me. And So then I saw something on Craigslist that was saying, hey, you don't need experience. Come over, we'll train you 40 hours. Well, if you're a psychology major, you get to work with kiddos on the spectrum. And I'm glad I didn't do it when I was depressed, because there's no way I could do that position. Yeah. And once I got out of the depression, then that was okay for me to do. And, I got really into it because you could see the progress with the kiddo. And I had a really cool family that to this day, Mom and I still, Facebook friends and stuff. And she tells me how her son's doing, her daughter's doing. Actually, her daughter wants to do ABA. She's going to UC San Diego for ABA. So kind of a small world, full circle kind of deal. And that really made me fall in love with ABA and kind of the potential. And then I found all the other stuff out later that we know to this day. And so now I'm part of the Do Better Collective, which is a group of BCBAs who are doing exactly what it says. We're wanting to get other sciences into ABA, softer, compassionate sciences, so we can help, not only just the kiddos, but the parents in even more of a full package.
Yeah. Okay, so now let me ask this question, because here you are, it's funny. I work with so many young adults that sometimes are really, it feels like you're forcing a square peg in a round hole, right? Like, I'm at this school and I really want to stay at this school, but this school doesn't have the path that I want to pursue. And so and sometimes there's just a disconnect of even understanding what it means to be depressed or to start to have those depressive symptoms. And especially if you don't have somebody to talk through, here's this inner conflict that I'm wrestling with, what's it going to mean to transfer or leave or, whatever. Anyways, I'm in the weeds, but it's helpful to hear that. Thank you for sharing that, because I also think that needs to be normalized more for a lot of the young adults. And there's a lot of parents that listen to this podcast. So hopefully if you've got a loved one that you're like, oh, some of those symptoms sound like the things that my young adult is dealing with that we haven't talked about, like depression. So maybe this is something we need to discuss. Mm-hmm. Anyways, what I'm getting at is I want to ask this loaded question, because Please. You're doing better. I'm going to use that mantra, your own journey from where you started, where you grew up, the academic and professional work up to what it is that you're doing now, which you kind of obviously elaborated on right out of the gate. Do you see yourself as successful now?
Yeah, bar none. I mean, I'm doing what I want to do. I feel like this is my purpose in life. I know this. I like the feelings that I get from after parents get aha moments when they tell me how well their kiddo's doing. When they say, my kiddo's telling me to take deep breaths now, or my kiddo's telling me, they're helping each other out. The teamwork aspect is huge. Is so huge. It's not one over the other, kiddo or parent. It's, hey, how do we do that? How we work together on this? It's the biggest. It makes me just knowing all the cool stuff that it allows families to see and to have a different perspective on when it comes to how they grew up and how they think. Some of my parents that I get to support, how they think of self-care, how they think of, work. And I'm not, it really comes down to worthiness, Joanna. How worthy are you? Do you feel you think you are? Because I have that same problem. I'm speaking from personal too. And once you get emotions out, once you release emotions, grief, shame, anger's connected to kind of both of those, you're going, it's just a matter of time before you feel the lightness, before you feel the intuition come in, the innovation, and the energy come back in your life. Because those emotions are a big weight. Yeah. And for someone to support you with releasing that in a gentle, very safe and just loving experience is yeah, that's my path. That's what I love to do. I'm sure you're very familiar with that feeling as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as you're talking to, I'm thinking about like two things are kind of going off in my head. One, which is like, it takes you back to you listening to Loveline, like as a kid, like how you manifested it. It just looks a little different, but in terms of the like gratitude, the change, the like impact, it's still there. It's just in a different capacity. And then I think the other thing that I'm thinking of is in roles like what you and I both have right now, but I really want to just focus on you since you're the guest. If it was not rewarding for us for the change that we're able to help families, like those little shifts within themselves, we probably wouldn't do what we do, right? It wouldn't be fulfilling. And that's a part of, it boils down to the things that bring us joy or we feel called to do, or like you said, like the opportunity to work through a lot of those like more heavier emotions that then lead you to the lighter side of like intuition, connection, like the things that, again, just feel like this is where I'm meant to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it continues to fill you up because you're helping others.
And the path I took to it matters too. The fact that I got depression, I know what that feels like. I can feel it with someone else. And when you're able to feel it with someone else and you're able to know, like, yeah, thinking about suicide is a real thing. I've done that too. And I know from my experience how I felt. I can only imagine how the other person is feeling. Yeah. And when you're able to, it takes someone who's been there before to guide someone else there, because it takes that empathy and that connection, that true, I know what shame feels like. I've been there. I have my experience, and I'd love to share it with you what it could open up for you when you do experience that, when you are able to do that, when it's time for you to do that. Yeah. Anger, grief too. Grief is huge. Grief is so underrated. Grief is so, there's ancient traditions, rituals that allowed cultures, that allowed society to grieve in the way that human beings, like you said, normalizing that we are built to do. And when we shut that off, just because we might look weak, because we might look weird, then we're really doing ourselves a disservice. And again, it comes back to how worthy are you to go through that? Because it's going to be scary. It might be really scary to even think about going down that path. And that's okay. That's okay. It's the awareness, and it's the one step over the other. I love movies, and I mean, it's the hero's journey, right? You got to go through the scary forest. You got to go through. And then once you go through it once, some people want to do it again because they know on the other side, there's going to be more energy. There's going to be more wisdom. There's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of gold. There's treasure at the end of these. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit off script here in this last moment, because I think I actually, and if you're like, no, Joanna, I don't want to answer this question, we'll just cut it right out.
Right on.
Okay, so
juicy one. I like this.
I know, right? Well, okay, so let's talk about this. A lot of with your own personal story, and then also just kind of like the premise of this podcast in general, really highlighting how life isn't linear. And I mean, you just highlighted it, right? Like it's grief, loss, hero's journey, like all these things, right? There's so much that is at play with young adults. Now, factor in or make it like compounded if you're also dealing with a young adult that's potentially headed off to college or currently in college, and they are neurodiverse, and you're a parent of the neurodiverse young adult. Okay, so here's where I'm like getting super specific, but also trying to provide the space to be vague. If you are coaching a parent right now that is trying to better support themselves, to have the like ripple effect in supporting their young adult. And I love that you
Mm-hmm.
also just use the again, know your worth, right? What is your worth? Is there anything in particular that you feel like you would probably or have consistently, and it could be like a generalized approach, what is a part of what it is that you're bringing to the coaching with parents of these young adults?
Perfect. So I would ask them, what's the most challenging part of your life right now? And it could be with your kiddo. It could be with grieving a lost loved one. It could be with getting angry at a neighbor, whatever challenge that they are. It could deal with their child. It doesn't have to, but I'm here for the parents' full life and what is going on with the other parts of your life. And it doesn't have to involve with your child, is going to affect your child. So, okay, so I'm going to go over what my neurobehavioral reset is. And so what I do is I guide them into a nice regulated space. And once I get into a nice regulated space, I'll ask, usually everybody's different when it comes to the most challenging situation in your life. I'll ask them what their intention is. Where does it, when they're in a regulated space, I'll ask them, where is that in your body? Because the body keeps the score, right? Or, because not everybody is a kinesthetic. Or I'll ask, are there thoughts that come to mind when I say this challenging situation? Or are there thoughts or images that come to mind? So kinesthetic, body, audio, or visual. And, everybody's different. So I got to kind of feel the individual out, feel the parent out, and okay, cool. They're getting an image. Great. Let's run with it. The beauty of this meditation, that's kind of a combination of somatic, of neurolinguistic programming, of behaviorism too, is you don't need to tell me your dirty laundry. So you don't need to tell me what the image is, just that you have an image. You don't need to tell me what this body sensation might be coming from. I just want to know there's something that came up, there's a shift, a change. And basically what the goal is after that is for them to feel safe with the challenging situation, because right now they do not. They're dysregulated. And when you make choices from a dysregulated nervous system, you're going to make choices that you possibly regret later, and that are not from love. They are from fear. And that's going to get you into a cycle. So we need to break this cycle. And how we break it is we open the body, we open the imagination, and again, I try to get them as regulated as I can, because then that is when the image will shift. The way that I see it and the way that I've been taught it is that our images are thoughts in this regulated state when we're telling our unconscious, which is in charge of 95%. Some people say 90%, some people say 98%, but I mean, that's a really big ratio, really big chunk of your day-to-day life. We're able to connect with it when we're in a regulated space, and the guidance that I give you will give you the open, more loving space. And sometimes it takes one time, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times for me to say, okay, now think about that challenging situation. How is there a difference in your body? Oh, you feel that, people that I get to work with, they have all different types of language that connects to the feeling of love, peaceful, stillness, calm, off, just everything's off. I don't feel the buzz of computers anymore, because I just told my unconscious, my subconscious, whatever you want to call it, let's just turn it off and just be still.
Yeah.
And that right there is just fertile ground for turning that challenging situation into an intuitive situation where they make innovative decisions and aha moments come from that. And then with also more empathy, I find a lot of parents, they're saying, oh, I understand where my child or my neighbor or whatever the challenging situation is, where they're coming from. And now I can get my needs met because I'm worth it to do it this way. And those aha moments, those epiphanies, they don't come from me. They come from them. I'm just guiding them into that regulated space where they parent from love.
Yeah. Okay, that was awesome. I was definitely like mesmerized by you kind of talking through that process. And I think the one thing that I will just reiterate as we're kind of wrapping up is for the importance of, oftentimes parents don't understand that when they're going for parent coaching, it's not figuring out how to make changes for your loved one, right? Your child or your young adult. It's actually, how do you shift yourself? And I love your approach, Jerrod, obviously parenting from love, because it takes it an extra level of like, we have to have self-love to then be able to like give love or show it as like in a role modeled space. And so I feel like this is a perfect pausing moment, because I want folks to contact you because they have been captivated by you or they're interested in connecting with you. And so again, if you're listening, please make sure you check out the link in the show notes to contact, not just check out Jerrod's website, but also just reach out to him directly. Jerrod, thank you again for being a guest on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you so much for having me. So parentfromlove.com is the website, and the neurobehavioral reset is there. If you are a listener of Success is a Subjective podcast, then I'll be happy to give you a discount. And I really want all parents to experience this. This is almost too easy, to be honest. The results that I see and I get to hear back from are like, wait a second, how is this not in our schools already? How is not everybody knowing about this? So parentfromlove.com. Hope to see you soon.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guests for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email Joanna at lilleyconsulting.com. Be sure to check out the lilleyconsulting.com website for additional resources outside of podcasting. Now, if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thanks again for listening in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.